Scottsbluff voters will be tasked with an important election day decision that could affect their bottom dollar. KNEB.TV News starts right now.
From your trusted source for news in western Nebraska and eastern Wyoming, this is KNEB.TV News. Presented by Platte Valley Companies, premier provider of financial services.
Hello, I'm Ryan Murphy. This is KNEB.TV News powered by Platte Valley Companies. Thanks for joining me. In our top story, a committee of Scottsbluff citizens is encouraging the city's voters to say yes to the two proposition questions that will appear on the November ballot. Prop 1 would renew and continue the city's 1.5 cent sales tax that's set to expire soon. Nate Merrigan with the Renew the Two committee explains just how important it will be to approve the measure.
And that supports, a lot of things, a wide array of services that the city provides, Parks and Rec, the library. It goes to help support our first responders and things like that. The city will use those funds to, ensure that quality of life in Scottsbluff remains high. And so it has been an important component of the budget of the city of Scottsbluff for years.
Merrigan explained that without continuation of the sales tax, property taxes in the community would likely double over a period of a few years, and it's possible there would be a reduction in city services. Prop 2, the city's LB 840 Economic Development Plan, is also on the ballot, with the city asking voters to renew it into 2050, with collections of funds to continue until October of 2035. Well, Nebraska Senator Pete Ricketts is part of the chorus calling for changes at the Federal Emergency Management Agency in the wake of devastating hurricanes in the southeastern U.S. Ricketts says there are multiple issues with how those disasters are being handled, not the least of which is the breakdown of the federal budgeting process. During a recent conversation with KNEB News, Ricketts said a prime example is a conversation he had on the subject during a farm forum in Ogallala.
They're still waiting to get reimbursement for claims they made back in our flood of 2019. So FEMA is clearly an organization that needs to be revamped because it is completely mismanaged if they can't get these things out in a timely manner. So that's one problem. But if there is any problems with the funds, it's all because Chuck Schumer's been playing games, and as Speaker Johnson said, we've got the money to be able to take care of this until we reassemble as in a regular order fashion.
Ricketts said news reports of the FEMA response, especially in North Carolina, seem to point to incompetence. He says disaster response is supposed to be federally supported, state managed, and locally executed, and if federal authorities aren't providing proper support and interfere with local execution, that's a problem. And we have received an update now from Nebraska Public Power District that their mutual aid team has wrapped up work in the Orlando area and are now heading home. The team had finished their work in Augusta Thursday morning and then traveled south to Florida Friday morning to assist the Orlando Utility Commission. The 15-man crew, including 12 line technicians, 1 fleet technician, and 2 supervisors, departed from the York Operations Center on Thursday, October 3rd, responding to support Georgia Power following the destructive path left by Hurricane Helene, and again are now on their way home. We'll have more news right after this.
Looking for free instead of fees? Platte Valley Bank can help you keep your finances moving forward with no ATM fees. Whether you're headed to the lake, the mountains, or just to the grocery store, you can enjoy the freedom of free ATM access anywhere, anytime. Platte Valley Bank. You belong here.
Back Western Nebraska Community College's wellness program, Cougar Strides, was recently named the recipient of the Governor's Wellness Grower Award, developed to help organizations across the state become recognized for their wellness efforts. The Governor's Wellness Award has recognized more than 500 companies since 2008 for their wellness achievements. Cougar Strides hosts wellness activities, challenges, and social events throughout the year for WNCC employees. The award committee said that WNCC Cougar Strides has displayed exceptional leadership support along with efforts to build and sustain a culture of well-being. And the city of Scottsbluff, in conjunction with Burlington Northern Santa Fe, would like to remind the public that the railroad crossing at 5th Avenue will be closed beginning this morning and remain closed until Friday evening for repairs at that crossing. Detours will be in place, and the city respectfully requests your patience and use of alternate routes during the repair work. Meanwhile, Gering City officials have announced that Pacific Boulevard will be closed at the intersection of U Street at noon tomorrow through Monday morning at 6 a.m. The city asks pedestrians and motorists to use caution when traveling in this area and to use alternative routes.
Life is crazy. Pain is stressful. How can anybody concentrate with these busy schedules? Now you can. This is Ben Moravec coming to you from Hydrozen, a float therapy business right here in Scottsbluff. I'm here today to let you know we now have memberships for $49 monthly. You can guarantee yourself at least one float per month. You know how floating keeps your muscles relaxed, your joints relieved, and your brain clear to think? Now you can float at a reduced rate each month. Inquire today at hydrozenfloat.com or call us at 308-63-FLOAT. Hydrozen. Unplug and recharge.
I imagined retirement in a place where we could enjoy our golden years, where adventure and friendship are the only items on the schedule. The Garden Homes at Northfield gives us the luxury we planned for and peace of mind when it comes to convenience, safety, and comfort. We never have to stop and think about the day-to-day upkeep. We love to explore abroad, but most importantly in our backyard. So much to do, so much to see. Here at Northfield, we get the protection of life care, incredible tax benefits, and secured rates for aging services. It's peaceful, knowing that if our needs change, we'll be taken care of. And most importantly, that our kids will never have to make any tough decisions. There never seemed to be enough time to do all the things we wanted. Now we get to focus our energy on enjoying what this community has to offer. At the Garden Homes, life is ours again. A place we had dreamed about. A chance to focus on us.
This is KNEB.TV Ag News from the Scottsbluff Body and Paint Ag Desk. Scottsbluff Body and Paint, you're driving home our reputation.
Welcome to another edition of Cattle Call. I'm Susan Littlefield on the Rural Radio Network. Well, we did get some cash developing, and surprise, surprise, it didn't happen out of the South like it usually does. We'll talk about that, where it sets, and what does that mean for our basis. And of course, have we turned the tide and put things back in the Packers' pocket when it comes to the availability of pushing these cattle? We've got a lot that we'll look at, and as you notice, that's not Brad Koima. Brad is actually spending some time in the grain cart. She's sharing with us a photo of him working hard. Joe Koima is joining us to fill in today. Joe, I appreciate you stepping in to Brad's shoes to do this program and to see some cash develop initially that didn't come out of the South is not something we've had to deal with a lot lately.
Right. Great question to start off. And thanks for letting me fill in here for Brad as he plays farmer today. But yeah, we have this tremendous rally that we've seen here basically the last 3 weeks. I think some of these deferreds have had 21 out of 23 days higher with a small correction. I think April finally, after 17 trading sessions, actually had a break here today, which was very well needed. Usually you want a market that's perhaps a little bit more healthy where it can rally $5-6, take a break, take a step back, and kind of keep going. But this one's definitely one for the highlight reel to have happen. But yes, we did see some cash leak out here about an hour and a half ago. It is steady with last week. So this is the third week up here in the north that we're at this 187 caliber, which it seems fine. We're holding cash together. However, we've just witnessed the basis disappear. The October board is at 188 and we got cash at 187. Usually we're sitting here, $2-3 better in the last few weeks in that situation. But this is definitely a little bit of some flashing lights could possibly be going off right now, especially with the tremendous rally that we've seen. This overbought status is usually kind of what I like to see as far as what I'm going to hedge into. But the plus side of this overbought status is that we've stayed here for well into 2 weeks now. So we're getting better prices than what we initially had when we were first overbought there about $5 ago.
So you talk about the basis being lost. Does that give some advantage to those packers out there when they're looking for cattle?
Yep, you always hear Brad say that the leverage is a fine line, and it doesn't take much to flip flop it in either direction. So this would be one card for the Packers to have now, is that the basis isn't favorable by any means, but we need cattle to be probably gone. We're going to stay current, but with the cheaper corn out there, and now you got a futures market that's a little bit better than this week's cash. Feeder prices are pretty high. This kind of gives the light to make these cattle even bigger than what they are right now. So that's another warning sign or kind of a flashing light that we'll have to pay attention to here moving forward yet.
How big are the cattle, Joe, at this point in the South? Because I just keep hearing they're adding the poundage because for them, the grain is cheap.
Grain dropping this summer has been advantageous for that. We've had a tremendous year just growing these cattle all together. A little heat spell here and there during the summer, but nothing major. These nights stay very temperamental for the temperature. So it just makes sense. And some of it's not making sense that we're going to feed it to a higher price. It's just more that our tracking numbers were a lot higher when we get to that point we're ready to sell them and buy 50, 80 pounds. It's a big number.
Is this going to be the new trend that we're just going to continue to see heavy and heavier cattle? Obviously more to the south than in the north, but it seems to be continually happening week after week.
Right. Unless we're not too far away from probably having some weather events up here in the north, maybe in the panhandles in the south. But yeah, we're still 4 or 6 weeks away from something like that. So that would be the disruption that we would need to have happen. Because once cattle usually go off feed in a situation like that, they tend to stay off. But for right now, there's really nothing to break the pattern of having these cattle gain of what they are gaining.
But we got to look at the opposite side of this picture. We've had a great rally, Joe, in these markets up until what we saw in a Wednesday trade.
Right. It's been a tremendous feat. We have the right players in this marketplace too. We saw the open interest climb here the last 2 weeks. So that is the managed money or the funds just really stepping to it here pretty good. They're not afraid to buy into new contract highs by any means. So that's been the positive feature, and that's why we had a market stay as overbought as what we have been, because any small little break, they were pretty hungry just to add more length to their portfolio. So we have good company up here. I'm not saying some of these warning signs that I'm putting out there, I don't know if it has to be exactly bearish, today or by this week, Friday or anything like that. It's just a few things are starting to kind of align that we just got to make sure we have good measures. We got June board back above 181, 182. I think that's a big price if a guy is uncertain about what his Feb and April cattle might be. Maybe a guy just uses that June just as a little bit of a leverage point there for a hedge.
But we also have the Goldman roll. That's going to be taking place this week as well, correct?
Yep, I think we're starting to venture into that here a little bit. So you might see some added pressure on December. The funds are long, so they'll be selling out of December, maybe buying some back months there just a little bit. So that's something to keep an eye on as well.
I have to ask, is there the opportunity, because harvest is going as fast as it is, that some of these cattle feedlots could pick up some grain a little bit cheaper because there's not a place to store it?
Right. We've got advantageous weather here that we don't have a cloud in the sky at all. So we are going to be hit with a lot of grains coming to town. And it doesn't, make a whole lot of sense necessarily to store it right now when you look at the interest rates and whatnot. So this would be a pretty good ticket here to start pricing some stuff out of the field and make sure that we have that checkbox marked out, that we can at least know what our cost of gains are going to be moving forward.
Well, Joe, we appreciate you filling in for Brad this week. What's the best way for folks to get a hold of you guys in the office?
They can give us a call here, 1-800-358-3047. Also got a website you guys can play around on, kkvtrading.com.
All right, that has been this week's Cattle Call. A quick reminder, commodity futures and options do involve a substantial risk of loss, not suitable to all investors. And that's this week's Cattle Call on the Rural Radio Network.
Tri-City Stormwater presents Stormwater 101, an illicit discharge.
October is Renewal by Anderson's United Against Cancer campaign, and when Renewal offered to pay for employees' radon testing and mitigation, several Renewal team members found radon in their homes. Deb was one of them, and she always wondered how she got breast cancer. Radon causes cancer. It's linked to Parkinson's, Alzheimer's. Radon is a killer.
People don't know about radon. They don't know what a killer it is, and they don't know how cheap it is to have it tested.
From all of us at Renewal by Anderson, please get a radon test now. It could save your life.
Let's take a look at your community calendar, brought to you by Riverstone Bank. The community calendar is brought to you by Riverstone Bank. We're local and we love our community.
Welcome to Kelly's Liquor, your liquor cabinet. Whether you're a wine enthusiast, a whiskey sommelier, a tequila connoisseur, or you just love your beer, Kelly's has the best selection of what you're looking for. Family owned and operated since 1946 and right on 27th Street in Scottsbluff. Come see us today at Kelly's Liquor, your liquor cabinet. And remember to be a good neighbor. Don't drink and drive. Kelly's Liquor, West 27th Street in Scottsbluff.
Better sleep and better health can be found at Western Sleep Medicine in Gering. Since 2006, Western Sleep Medicine has offered the lowest cost sleep testing either in their independent sleep laboratory or the privacy of your own home. You have control over your health care and your out-of-pocket cost. All insurance is accepted for a much lower cost than the regional option. If you need a sleep study, ask for Western Sleep Medicine. They've helped thousands of people over the years and want to help you. Western Sleep Medicine. Better sleep, better health.
Tired of feeling stuck? Not sure if you are on the right track? Platte Valley Bank can help keep your finances moving forward with checking account options to fit your lifestyle and an online account chooser to make finding the right account easy. Control your financial future with helpful budgeting tools and automatic savings plans. Now is the time to enjoy the ride with Platte Valley Bank. You belong here.
And finally tonight, construction trade students looked on Monday as yet another set of container home modules were swapped out at Scottsbluff High School. While it took 6 to 7 months for students to finish out each of the first 2 housing units, production now is anticipated to happen at a bit faster pace. Jake Aulick says experience with the first set of homes has helped develop more standardized planning and procedures.
From the school kids all the way up to the drafting and the design process, we've made some pretty significant strides, we think, in the right direction and making things just easier and faster. And in some cases more simplistic so that the kids are easier to teach from an instructor standpoint. If we can make things easier on the instructor, it'll be easier on everybody to make sure that that's just more repeatable. And then if we do have an issue, we know how to fix it at a rapid pace instead of having 5 different designs out there.
Aulick says as the program evolves, the intent is to get students in plumbing and HVAC skills areas involved, and perhaps even DECA or business students who can help develop marketing strategies and materials. He says as production continues, the plan for the housing units is to produce 2 a year and sell 2, which would give the program stability and sustainability. Well, that does it for us this time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Stay safe out there. We'll see you here next time.